Good afternoon and welcome to this week's BizSmart webinar. Our weekly webinars are aimed to provide advice and share knowledge on key business topics and specialist areas. Joining me today is BizSmart Select member Philippe Ingels from WAKSTER Limited. Before we start our, today's webinar, can I ask you all to use your question mark function on your screen to post any questions that you may have, and Philippe will do his best to answer them all at the end of the session. Okay. Thank you, Philippe. Over to you.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. I hope you will enjoy the webinar, and as much as I had fun creating all these visuals. So today what we're going to talk about is video marketing secrets. And the first question we need to ask, let me just get this right, oops. There you go. The first question we want to ask is, what is the purpose of your company website? Now, strategically, you have three options. You either want to establish your credentials, you want to generate leads, or you want to sell products or services, or a combination of these three strategies. Now, imagine for a moment you have to interview your website for one of these three positions. How will it perform? Will you have to send it on a sales course, or will you have to possibly fire it and appoint a more suitable candidate for this position? Because if you really think about it, your website has the same remit as a salesperson. It has to attract attention, it has to generate leads, and ultimately the salesperson has to convert those leads into sales. Now, that's exactly what your website is supposed to do. And you squander your most valuable online asset if you have an underperforming or counterproductive website. So let's see how we can fix this. Now, the first question I want to ask is which is the more effective at establishing your credentials, generating leads, and making a sale? Would that be a selection of pages nailed to the fence on the side of the digital highway, like most websites are doing? Or will it be you, with your knowledge and your sunny personality and unbridled enthusiasm? I don't think it's rocket science to know that that you, as a person that understands your business, that knows your products, your services, are going to be a lot better than a couple of pages trying to explain the same thing. But the unfortunate thing is that you are not a website. There are certain things that websites can do that is very difficult for us to do. For instance, you can't be everywhere at the same time. So you can't be at LinkedIn and Pinterest and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube all at the same time. You can also not be available 24/7. And again, a website is good at being there, 24/7, 365 days of the year, selling for you. And then you can also not really deal with thousands of simultaneous queries. So the next question we want to ask is, how do you transform all this skills and experience and your personality and everything over to all the abilities that the website have? Our brain transfer would be excellent, but that technology is not quite there yet. So the next step, or the answer to this question really, is video. We're going to explore a bit what video can do as a substitute for your ability to sell. Video has several key benefits that we're going to look. We're going to look at 6 of them. There's obviously a lot more. And the first thing is that people really love videos. There are tons of statistics on the effectiveness of video. But one of the statistics I pulled out is that Facebook and YouTube report that 4 billion video views per day on each of these platforms. So there's no doubt that video is very popular with people. And there's a lot of psychological reasons why this is the case. Now, video also allows your customers to see your product and services in action. In other words, you can demonstrate your product. If you own a factory, you can take people through it. You can show how your products actually work. And that makes your product a lot more believable and gives people an opportunity to understand exactly how that product or service works. Video is also very good at getting us to feel things. Now, psychology tells us that people primarily buy on emotions, and video allows you to combine audio and motion and body language into very powerful creative stories, and these stories engage us and pulls us in, and that makes us feel. And what you really want in the end of the day is people to feel positive about your company or about your product and service. Videos also boost your search rankings. According to some research, it is up to 50 times easier to achieve a page 1 ranking on Google with video than without video. And then video is also very easy to distribute. And we all know video, that's easy to upload video to YouTube and Facebook. You can upload video to Facebook and to Pinterest and share it on Twitter, but it's also easy to share it, for instance, through your email list by just giving people a link to the video. And then lastly, video marketing can be as cheap and as expensive as you want it to be. I'll go a bit into that when we get to the different types of videos that you can produce. But next, we're going to look at some of the rules of creating a great video. Now, these rules are part of our most basic behaviors and needs. And the first rule is you have to try and capture people's interest within seconds and then hold it throughout the video. People's attention span is very short. According to some research, it's actually shorter than the attention span of a goldfish, which I think is about 9 seconds, and ours is about 8 seconds. So the idea is to create a video where people's interests are maintained, where they don't, their attention don't start wandering and they start thinking about other things and then click away from your video. And the idea is to keep their attention onto that video because you want them to listen to the whole message. And the script, obviously, and the way in which you communicate your message visually are critical elements to get right in this process of holding people's attention. The next key rule is to make an emotional connection. As I said earlier, people buy on emotions. People love to be entertained as well. They want to feel excited. They even want to feel shocked or relieved, of admiration, anything but something. You know, this death by PowerPoint is usually because people don't feel anything. And again, you know, their attention will start wandering and they will click away from your video. Because emotions, after all, is what makes us human. And most importantly, you want them to feel positive about your company. In a video, especially explainer videos, you want to explain things, your value proposition, so they really get the value of what you're offering. Now here, using metaphors and visual aids play an important part in getting people to really understand why they should buy from you and not your competition. And you need to keep that explanation very simple. You basically deal with the problem, you talk about the solution that you're offering, how exactly it works, and then you have your call to action. And you also have to focus on the benefits and not the features. We often find companies tend to really want to talk about the features of their product, and that's all good and well, but people buy on the benefits that those features offer. And in your explainer video, it's focusing on the benefits that's going to get people to eventually react positively to your call to action. People want to know how your product or service is going to make their lives better. They want to know that you are going to make a difference to their company or to their lives. If you fail in these rules, then you have unhappy people. If they're not happy, they are less likely to convert to a buying customer. As with all marketing endeavors, it's worth investing into quality. So let's look at some of the types of videos that you can create. And the first one that I've mentioned a bit about is the explainer video. An explainer video is your most effective conversion tool. It basically explains your value proposition. When people get it and love it and want it, they will buy it. The explainer video are a key component of your website's landing pages. The explainer video is one of the best ways to improve the website's effectiveness. And the next type of video is what we call viral videos. As the name suggests, the viral video are meant to spread like a virus, and it's basically there to spread your brand through social sharing. They usually don't try to sell anything. This is not always the case. Some videos that are clearly sales videos have gone viral, but in most cases, viral videos are more to do with entertainment. And these videos are primarily to create brand awareness. So you would have a piece of entertainment, and then on the final bit of the video, you will share your brand with people and a link to your website. And the idea is to basically try and generate traffic to your website. The next type of video is called a vlog. I know this is a very strange name, but it's basically a video blog. So somebody came up with this clever name to call it a vlog. They're very cheap to produce. They're personality driven because it's usually you doing the vlog, and quite possibly the best value for money in terms of sheer engagement value. Now, the vlogs are primarily there to, again, create brand awareness, but also to build a fan base and to generate leads. The idea of vlogs is that you would do those vlogs, on a very regular basis, so that you can start building up an audience through regular vlogs. Next one is the webinar, which we're doing at the moment. Webinars are usually high-value, low-cost endeavors. Now, I know that this webinar we're doing here, I've done a lot of trouble into creating these highly engaging visuals for this webinar, but I'll talk a bit later about what additional advantages doing a webinar in this way is for. They're good for driving they're good for diving in more deeply into relevant topics. They're obviously a very good way of expanding on topics, and they're also very good in terms of engagement because people are often usually allowed to ask questions afterwards. And then the third or the fifth one is the how-to videos. Again, they're usually fairly cheap to produce unless you want to explain how to put together a rocket engine. And they are there to build credibility and maintain brand awareness, and also, again, like the vlogs, is there to build a fan base and generate leads. And you can do how-to videos just about on any subjects, whether it's HR, legal, accountancy, IT, graphic design, copywriting, or plumbing. And people want that type of information because they value actionable insights. Now, we're going to go quickly through the process of creating a video. There's obviously a lot involved in the creation process of the video, but what's important is in these steps that I'm going to share is the planning part of this process is absolutely crucial. As with any marketing endeavor, you start with a well thought through value proposition. So you really want to know what's your elevator pitch in 1 or 2 sentences, because this will give you a basis for the message that you're going to communicate in your video. You definitely want to know who the video is for so that you can address the message correctly. You want to know what the key benefits are that you want to share with the audience, and you want to know exactly how this product or service works, how does the process works, how the service works, and you also want to make sure that you know what makes you different from the competition, because again, you want to relate in your video why they should buy from you and not the competition, and then why you want to make sure that they understand the difference, they understand the value, they understand why you are credible, and why you're the go-to person for whatever product or service that you're offering. Next process is coming up with the creative idea. Now that's often very daunting to people, especially people that are not that creative. But there are two things to remember. That the one thing is that creativity is really about putting existing ideas and thoughts into unique combinations. So the web has given us access to an endless number of ideas that's floating out there. And if you want to come up with creative ideas, really just go and surf the web and pick up ideas that you say, I really like this, I really like that, and then start combining them in a unique way that's relevant to your company. Yeah, the images here on the screen are just some ideas of possibilities. The creative ideas has to be in terms of what you have to say about your subject matter, but also how you say it, the metaphors you're going to use, the tone of voice, and what kind of visual aids you're going to use to communicate that message. This is, for example, a creative idea we came up for a company called Armstrong Bell, which is a telecommunications company. And the basic idea here was to create different spaces and then show how this company, with their technology, connects these spaces together. The next part is to write a script, and it's all about the script. In most cases, it's better to get an external script writer to write your script, because they will look at your company from the outside in the way that your customers are looking at your company, and therefore they will explain it in a way that everyone can understand it. And they will probably also steer away from focusing too much on features and rather focus on benefits. The next part is to create a storyboard. Now, the storyboard is an aid to pre-visualize how the video will unfold. You don't have to, necessarily create a storyboard to the level that I'm showing here, and some storyboards even go further than this. But even if it's just stick figures, as long as you can kind of try to visualize, how the shots will be composed, what kind of graphics you will be using, and so on. And this really helps in the planning process of the video. The next part is to get your script voice recorded, because nothing ruins a video faster than poor audio. If you're going to do your own video recording, it's worth getting a proper microphone or getting one of these Zoom H1 voice recorders. I've got one of these voice recorders, and I've used them in several productions. They're really high quality, and they give you much better quality than most of the video mics would give you. If you don't want to use your own voice, which is often understandable, then you can get a voice artist to record your voice for you. We often use a website called The Voice Realm, where you can put your script on there and ask the voice artist to do an audition for you. And you can select whether you want an American voice, a South African voice. I'm not on there, I promise. Or British voice, female, male, young, old. And that's a really effective way of getting your voice recorded very professionally. And some of them would do that within 24 hours if you really push for a deadline. The next step is to create what's called an animatic. Very few people are familiar with the term, but what an animatic basically is it combines the storyboard you've created with the voice recording you've done. And you put it together as a video. This gives you a good idea of how the video will flow, and it's a really important process, especially if the production part of your video is going to be expensive, because any problems with the video, this is where you want to catch them. So the next step is the going into actual production. There's a lot of different options here. I mean, your blogs or your vlogs, they can often be created from your webcam. But you can also go all the way to hiring a professional video studio to help you produce the video. And if you look at the image on the bottom right, you'll see that that person's getting shot on a green screen, which allows in the post-production process, allows you then to drop this person into any kind of background that you want them to be in. If you have a look at on the WAKSTER website and you look at the Armstrong Bell video that we did, that was all shot onto green screen and then dropped into 3D animated backgrounds. And the next process is what's called post-production. That's really, after you've shot all the clips, you've got all the graphics done, you've got your voice recordings done. This is the process where you combine everything into one single video. We used software called Adobe After Effects and Adobe Premiere, which is obviously two professional video editing packages. They've got quite a steep learning curve, but they are really good for this process. But there's also a lot of free software available, as these that are listed here, like Video's Movie Maker and Apple's iMovie and so on. And they are not, they're not that difficult to create. It depends on what you really want to create out of your video. If it's just a question of combining the different video clips that you've shot with the audio and some graphics, then these packages will definitely be suitable. And then the last part is the music, well, the second before last part. The music track binds the video together and enhances the mood that you want to create. There's a lot of websites available that have library audio tracks. These are some of the ones that we use, Audio Blocks and Audio Network. There's a vast number of music tracks on there, and you can search by different moods and like corporate video and so on. And if you don't really want, obviously those are paying sites, but if you don't want to pay for your video music, then YouTube offers quite a big list of available tracks that's completely free for to use. On some of them you have to give credit on your video for the artists, and others you can just use. And then the last part of the video production is, of course, launching the video. Here you will need to create a catchy title, a description, thumbnail images, keywords, and a transcript and links. The transcript is very important, and the keywords as well, because obviously the search engines uses that to work out what your video is about, and then that obviously helps in the search rankings. So let's see where our two entrepreneurs are. They've created a mind-blowing explainer video, and they started a series of short vlogs and how-to videos thrown into for good measure. Now the vlogs are starting to attract a lot of attention, and the audience numbers are steadily rising. The fans start sharing news of these vlogs on their social media channels. And of course, Google starts picking up all this chatter and starts ranking the video higher and higher on the Google ranking. Now, all this attention on the vlogs is starting to channel people through to the website, and here the explainer video stands ready to turn curiosity into interest, and interest into desire, and desire into positive actions. And our two entrepreneurs are now well on their way to build a high-value company. So that is video production. I hope you've enjoyed the information and it's useful. And I think now over to some questions.
Thank you very much. Right, you've got a number of questions coming through. The first one is from Steve, and he asks, how much does video production cost?
Yes, Steve, that's a really good question, and that's obviously a question that I'll get asked all the time. And as I said in the beginning of my webinar, is that your video marketing can really be as cheap or expensive as you want it to be. Videos can cost almost nothing if you produce it, your vlogs through and your webinars through your webcam, and they can literally go up to hundreds of thousands of pounds. But the real question is, how much should you invest in a video or in video for your marketing? We know video definitely works, so you need to work out how many new customers or clients this video is likely to produce, and for that you need to look at the type of visitors to your website. Whether try to estimate how many of those visitors are leads that are potentially able to convert into paying customers, and try to estimate how many of those you lose because your website simply doesn't make the point and doesn't sell your value proposition. And then you need to try and work out what the lifetime value is of those customers that you potentially are losing. And then when you've got a figure on that, the real question then is, how much are you willing to invest to try and secure those clients? And then invest that into video that increases the likelihood of those clients becoming paying customers. So, I mean, we've produced videos, from as low as £1,500 to £15,000-20,000. So, and those were all based on making that type of calculation. The £20,000 video was worth that to that company.
Okay, thank you very much. You've got another question. What do you think about some of the free animated video creation tools that are now available?
Yes, there's a lot of websites that have sprung up, when video started becoming popular in terms of using that as a marketing tool, especially the explainer videos. These websites started creating the tools for people to be able to easily create their own explainer videos, especially like whiteboard animation videos, but also different other types of animated videos. And you've obviously seen some of these. So some of these free tools are okay, but they still require some skill and understanding to create an effective video. As I said in the beginning, you can also have a website with a video that does your brand more damage than good. So you can probably find some, as an example, you can probably find free pencils somewhere, but that doesn't mean that you necessarily can draw. It's maybe for playing around. It's maybe worth playing around with these tools. But at the end of the day, if you're serious about running a professional business, you need to make sure that the video reflects that professionalism.
Thank you. I love this next question. What options do I have if I don't want to show myself on video?
Yes, that's a good question. A lot of people feel very uncomfortable, to be on the wrong side of the video, and I can assure you that I definitely feel more comfortable being on the viewfinder side of the video than on the front end. There are several options. I really believe, especially where if you are the part of the brand, people buy from people. So where possible, if you can put yourself on that video, then that's very good. And you can start thinking about things like, if you don't want to be on the video for the whole time, is to start a video, introduce yourself, and then cut to animation, for instance, and then every now and then show yourself on the video. If you really, really, really definitely don't want to be on that video, you can use actors, but they can be a bit expensive, or you can use animation. But there's also option of just using graphics, and then either you yourself doing voiceover or getting a voiceover artist. If you look at, for instance, at the slides on this presentation I've done today, it's not inconceivable for me to get a voiceover artist to voice the whole thing professionally, and then just use these graphics to as the visual part of the presentation or the video. But then at the end of the day, it's really about how engaging is this video of mine going to be. So what I'll obviously definitely do is I'm going to animate parts of this video, because that's more engaging than static images. But again, some of the software packages like that we use, like After Effects, allows you to move the graphics around, and we call that motion graphics. So again, you can then get away with not being on the video by using motion graphics and a voiceover artist. So there's a lot of options if you really don't want to be on the video.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Philippe, for joining me today and hosting today's webinar. I'll be sending out a copy of the presentation and Philippe's contact details out to you all later on today or tomorrow. I'd just like to thank you all for joining us, and we hope you can make our webinars a regular slot in your calendar. And Philippe and I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone.